What's up everyone, Andrew Bainey here, and as the year comes to a close, it is time for my annual guitar collection video. I've been doing one of these every year now, I think since 2018. They're always a lot of fun, they're nice and simple, and I basically just get a chance to show off all the crazy stuff that I have. And that pretty much sums up what I am going to do in this video, so let's just jump right into it. Starting off right here with my Fast Guitars Orion 9-string. This is the only 9-string guitar that I have in my collection. If you've watched my channel for a long time, you've probably seen it pop up here or there. 9-strings are a little uncommon and I don't use them that often, but I've had a bunch of different ones over the years and this is the one that consistently stays in my collection. It's by far my favorite 9-string guitar that I've ever played, and that is why it is the one that I keep. So this was a custom build that I had made back in 2018 or 2019, somewhere around there. It is a 30-inch scale on the low string and a 28-inch scale on the high string. I usually have it tuned to C# standard or double drop B or whatever you want to call that. It has this beautiful quilted maple top with this awesome green burst finish, EMG 909X pickups, which I think are the best sounding 9-string pickups. I know Fishman Fluence has some that are also really good, but honestly, I think these ones kind of take the cake in my opinion. Bird's eye maple fretboard with a custom inlay on the 12th fret, which is yours truly's logo. We got hip shot open gear locking tuners on the back of the headstock right there, which is ridiculously big because it's a 9-string. 5-piece maple neck with some reinforcement, swamp ash body, single volume knob, and a 3-way pickup selector. Very, very simple guitar. Again, this one doesn't get a ton of use because 9-strings are definitely pretty niche, and I used to use it a lot more back when I was doing the like what if band tuned down series. By the way, if you want that series to make a return, let me know. I haven't done one in like 2 or 3 years. I kind of just stopped because it seemed like people stopped watching them, but if you want more, let me know in the comments. Before we get on to the next guitar, I want to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, Adam and Eve. Now I know what you're thinking, what does an adult toy company that's been in business for over 50 years have to do with a guitar collection? Well, it's time to finally show you my other collection. I'm talking about my guitar pedals, by the way. I don't know what you were thinking. Now you can play authentic in the studio and the bedroom with Adam and Eve. You like Jackson guitars? That's cool, but I prefer jacks off guitars. All of my guitars have head, but if you're feeling headless this holiday season, you should go check out Adam and Eve. My wife painted a bunch of tentacles on this guitar. I don't know if she was trying to tell me something. Maybe there's something else I could get her with tentacles on it. Are you tired of flicking your kill switch the old-fashioned way? Go check out Adam and Eve. Oh, what's that? You can't afford an Aristides guitar? Well, there's some other titties you can go get over at Adam and Eve. Do you like this custom inlay? Of course you do, and since you can't get inlaid yourself, might as well go check out Adam and Eve. Listen, I know all of you love to practice your guitar wankery, show it off all over the internet. That's none of my business. But when you're ready to wank something else, you can use code Andrew to get 50% off one item over on Adam and Eve. It also comes with free shipping within the US or Canada and free rush processing. Some exclusions do apply. Okay, next up we have a guitar that I got this year. This is a bit of an odd one. This is a Sterling by Music Man AL40P. It is Albert Lee's signature guitar from this year in this awesome Sherwood green finish, I believe it's called. This is a bit of an oddball. I'm actually going to be selling this guitar because I personally don't use it very much. It is really cool though, and Sterling actually set it up for me in, I believe, drop G sharp. I used it for a loathe tuning when I did the demo of this guitar. But other than doing the demo of this guitar, it's pretty much just sat on my shelf just because it is a bit odd for my taste and not something that I would use quite as often, despite it looking actually really good in my opinion. And this is a pretty affordable guitar. I think these only retail around like $600 US, give or take. But yeah, with the P90s and the shorter scale, it's just not something I see myself using too much. It does sound cool. These give a bit of a more unique tone as to a lot of different guitars that I have, because I don't think I have anything else with P90s, and these actually do sound really good in this low tuning, which is definitely not what this guitar was made for, because if you've ever heard Albert Lee before, he would never play a guitar like I do, and I thought that was a lot of fun to experiment with. But yeah, Sterling by Music Man has kind of been killing it for their lower range instruments especially. Has a really, really nice fretboard, really nice roasted maple neck. This one does not have locking tuners, but it does have those pearloid buttons, which look really nice. I really like the combination of this Sherwood green along with the pearloid pickguard. I think it looks really nice. And yeah, Sterling has just continued to improve over the years, and I thought this one was really nice for the price. but it just doesn't really suit my playing style. So if you're interested in buying this, just DM me on Instagram or something like that. Okay, next up we have an Aristides 060R. This is a standard scale 6-string guitar in this ridiculous neon pink finish with Fishman Fluence Abasi pickups, I'm pretty sure. Volume, tone, 5-way pickup selector that also has a push-pull for the voice selection, because Fishman Fluence pickups do that. If you're unfamiliar with Aristides guitars, you're going to see a few of them on this channel, and the premise is basically they don't use any wooden components. So the body is made out of this material called Arium, which was developed by Aristides. It's like a composite material. The fretboards are all made out of Richlite, which is not technically wood. It's like a super compressed cardboard type situation. Obviously stainless steel frets. This one also has blue inlays, which I think look really nice along with the pink finish. It kind of has like a bubblegum vibe going on. Hipshot open gear locking tuners, which tend to be my favorite tuners. I did not personally spec this guitar out. It was originally made for my good friend Bill, and he decided he didn't want it anymore, sold it to my other friend Eric, and then finally to me. So we kind of kept this within the friend group. I really like this guitar a lot. I don't play 6-string guitar that often, but this one permanently lives in drop C or drop B, and it always sounds good anytime I need to pick it up. Okay, moving on. Next up, we have the Sterling by Music Man Majesty 7-string. This is actually the first guitar that I ever wanted from Sterling by Music Man, the very first time I worked from them. This is the one I asked for, but it took a couple of years of working with them until we finally figured it out, and I'm kind of glad that we waited so long because I think that this finish looks absolutely beautiful. It's got this like lava burst finish. This one has the Crunch Lab and Liquefier pickup in the bridge and neck respectively, which are John Petrucci's signature DiMarzio pickups. They sound awesome. I used to have these in my first 7-string ever, so it was nice to have another 7-string with the same pickups. Really cool stuff. I've always thought that the Majesty shape looked absolutely beautiful, and this is no exception. Even though it's not a full-fledged Music Man, I think this guitar plays, looks, feels, and sounds great. And honestly, compared to the other Music Man that I have in the background, I think that this one is just as good. It doesn't feel quite as high quality, obviously, because this comes in at like a quarter of the price. But I honestly kind of like that this one has way less features. I think that the standard Majesties are a little overkill for my taste. Like, I don't need a piezo system and all these coil splits and all that. I just don't use that stuff. So this one only having volume, tone, and a 3-way, I actually like that more. Obviously, the full-fledged Music Man sounds and plays a little bit better, but this one is really good. The only thing I don't like about this one is the gloss neck. I'm never a fan of a gloss neck on a guitar, and I think it's especially weird for the Majesty or any John Petrucci model because he tends to, you know, be a shredder, so I think it's weird that he chose to do gloss, but hey, that's just me. I love this guitar. I think it lives in drop A because it only has a 25.5-inch scaling, so it's a bit short for a 7-string, but if you're doing B standard or drop A, that's fine. Okay, next up is another Sterling by Music Man guitar. This one is in the exact same finish as the Majesty guitar that I just showed you, and like I said, I really like this finish, and I think it's so cool that I have two that are matching, a 7-string and a 6-string respectively. This is the JP60D, I believe it's called, again because it has the same DiMarzio pickups, being a Crunch Lab and Liquefier. They sound just as good as a 6-string or a 7-string. Awesome pickups. Yeah, same thing here. 3-way pickup selector, volume, tone. One thing I forgot to mention on both of these guitars as well is it does have a push-push on the volume knob, which gives you like a 10 decibel boost in volume or something like that. So if you're playing leads, you can do that to bump up the volume a tiny bit more. Kind of cool. I don't really use it, but hey, nice feature to have. On both guitars, obviously, roasted maple neck, which looks beautiful if my camera will focus. It will not focus. We'll do this camera instead. Beautiful roasted maple neck right there with Sterling's own locking tuners. These both also have stainless steel frets. This one has the JP inlay on the first fret right there. And yeah, these guitars are just really solid. I think that this one and the Majesty are keepers for life. This one lives permanently in drop B. Okay, next up is one of the weirdest but coolest guitars in my collection. This is an Illuminati Guitars Orion 6-string baritone guitar. As you might notice, it has a clear body, which is absolutely crazy. It also lights up. It's a little hard to see on camera, but if I flip it over, there you go. My room is just too bright, so you can't see it normally, but it does look really nice in the dark. But yeah, see-through body, lights up. This one, I swapped the pickups for the Fishman Fluence Matt Heavy 6-string set. I think that this makes it sound much better personally. Three-way pickup selector up top, volume, tone, very, very simple guitar, other than the fact that it's made out of crazy materials, obviously. And the other big thing is, obviously, this neck is ridiculous. It is an aluminum neck, which again, I believe is 27.5-inch scale length. So it's even longer than most baritone guitars, and it sounds awesome. I have this tuned all the way down to drop E. I don't use this one too often, but every time I do, I have a blast playing it. It's so unique and so cool to play a guitar tuned this low with this weird of specs and having it be that low tuned. It's awesome. I really, really like this one. While we're on the topic of baritone guitars, I also have this baritone acoustic guitar from Orangewood. I don't play this one too often, but I decided to keep this in my collection because getting a baritone acoustic guitar is kind of rare. You don't see it too often. This one has a 27-inch scale length. I believe I still have it tuned to B standard or drop A. Again, I don't use it too often, so it's a little dusty, but I don't think this one is going anywhere because of how cool it is. I did a kind of like 2-for-1 deal with Orangewood a year ago or so. Ended up keeping this one and selling the standard one because I just don't really play standard acoustic guitars. But yeah, this guitar is awesome. It sounds really cool having an acoustic that's tuned super low. Next up, we have another very strange one, but this is an acoustic guitar from Lava Music. I believe this is called the Lava Me 3. Again, I don't use this one too often, but I figured it was nice to keep an acoustic guitar in the collection. Although this looks like something out of like an Apple commercial or something like that. It's very weird. It has a ton of crazy technology, which you can see up top here. Obviously it's not turned on right now, but it basically has a touch screen right there where you can actually like loop, have a tuner, have built-in effects. So when you play the guitar, you can actually have like reverb and delay come directly out of the guitar. It's really cool, really weird, but just having an acoustic in the collection, I figure is a good idea for the very, very rare times when I need one. Okay, next up we have another weird one for me. It's probably the most normal guitar in my collection, but this is actually a Harley Benton SC25. So this is the 25th anniversary Harley Benton single cut. It just came out this year. They actually sent me over three of their new models, and this was the one that I decided to keep. I liked all three, but the one thing that I always have missing in my collection is a single cut Les Paul style thing. I always have a tendency to buy like ESP Eclipses or LTD Eclipses, and I keep them for a while and then I sell them, and I always regret it because having a single cut, I don't know, it's just like something that I feel like you have to have as a guitarist. It's a cool shape. This gold top finish is really nice. For some reason they call it a fire mist finish, but to me it looks like gold. I also modded this one, so I took the pickup out of the Illuminati baritone guitar, and that is in the neck, which I believe is a Lawler DB, I think. And then in the bridge, we have a single Seymour Duncan Black Winter. I believe this one is also probably tuned to drop C, because if I'm ever playing a 6-string, that is primarily the tuning that I play. So again, I don't use this one too often, but I feel like it's just a cool thing to have in the collection. Every once in a while when you want a normal guitar, this is a good one. It's super affordable, and especially with these upgrades, it sounds absolutely awesome. And yeah, Harley Benton just kind of really killed it with these models in particular. These ones feel really high quality. Harley Benton is a little all over the place with that. You can get ones that are like dirt cheap that feel a little bit dirt cheap, and you can get ones that are a little more expensive but feel way better. So I think this one is around like the $300 US-ish. And it feels like it's way more expensive than that. And yeah, this is just a solid guitar overall. Man, picking up some of these guitars makes me realize how dusty they are and how little I actually play some of them. And it's a shame. I should really play a lot of these way more often than I do. But anyways, this one is one that you might be familiar with because I played it a lot for a couple of years. And then it subsequently went crazy on the used marketplace, and Guitar World blamed me and Loathe for that. So I'm sorry if you want one. But this is the Squier Baritone Vintage Modified Jazzmaster. It's a really cool guitar. It's a 30-inch scale Jazzmaster guitar, so it definitely was not made to be played the way that I play it or Loathe plays it. The reason that I bought it is because obviously I'm a huge fan of Loathe. I saw that they were using these bone stock and it sounded awesome, so obviously I had to have one. So again, I don't use this one very often. I pretty much only use it when I'm covering Loathe songs. But it's one of those guitars that I have to keep in my collection. I've had like 4 of them now, and I've sold like 3 of them and decided to keep this one because it was my favorite of the 4. Again, I don't use this one too often, but I feel like it is something that I have to keep for the rest of my life, whether I play it a lot or not. Speaking of guitars I do not use very often, this one is a 7-string guitar kit that I built with my now wife. We just got married yesterday, actually, by the way. Finally. But yeah, basically this is a guitar kit from a company that I used to work for called Precision Guitar Kits. They make really awesome guitar kits, including this 7-string kind of like telly style thing. It is awesome, but we just kind of messed up some things because this was my first guitar kit build ever. There are things that I wish I did differently that obviously I didn't know at the time, but I want to keep it obviously because, you know, Serena painted on it, and I think it's kind of just a cool thing to have because we worked on it together. I almost never play this guitar, to be completely honest, but it does sound really good when it's properly set and strung up. It definitely hasn't been played in like a year, so it's like super dusty and definitely needs a string change. Like, they're literally rusted. Oops. But this one has the Seymour Duncan West Hotch signature pickup in the bridge, and I believe a sentient in the neck. It's a 26.5-inch scale neck, and it has a really cool fretboard which looks really nice. Everything about it is cool. I just don't really play it that often because it doesn't feel as professional as like a guitar that was made by a professional, obviously. So it has some little quirks about it that make me not enjoy playing it quite as much as I hoped, even though it does still sound pretty good. Okay, next up is one of the newest guitars from Shecter. I think it's the newest Shecter I have in my collection. This one is the Sunset Extreme 7-string. This guitar is really, really cool, and it's probably the 7-string that I'm going to keep from Shecter probably forever, unless they release something new and cooler, which, you know, they might. But it's a 27-inch scale baritone 7-string guitar, which is awesome. Always love to see that in a in a 7-string rather. It has Schecter's own pickups, which I can't remember the name of off the top of my head, but I'll put them on the screen. It's something like Sunset Strip and Pasadena or something like that. One volume knob, which is the proper amount of knobs. A 5-way pickup selector, not a hipshot bridge, but a hipshot style bridge, just, you know, Schecter's own thing. Stainless steel frets, Schecter's own locking tuners on the back, along with a 5-piece neck, and this really awesome finish. I think you can also get it in gray. I personally think that the red finish is much nicer though. And yeah, this guitar is really solid. I think I have it tuned down to drop F sharp due to that extended scale length. It sounds really good, and like I said, this is probably going to be a keeper for a very long time. Moving along, we have another 7-string guitar. If you've been around my channel for a while, you will definitely recognize this one. This was the first Aristides guitar that I ever got. It was actually given to me as a wedding gift way back in 2020, because that's originally when I was supposed to get married. But instead, we finally got married yesterday. Oops. COVID, am I right? But anyways, my friend surprised me with this custom build back in the summer of 2020 when I was originally supposed to get married. I had never owned an Aristides guitar of my own before. It was a complete shocker and surprise to me. I still to this day cannot believe my friends did this. I believe this is the first time ever that Aristides had done this green finish on one of their raw builds. It's perfect for me. Obviously, I love green. They have that custom AB inlay on the 12th fret again. And on the back of the headstock, it'll be upside down, but you'll get the point. It also says string gauge. Let's flip that over. String gauge right there as a little meme, because as you all know, everybody asks my string gauges all the time, and it doesn't really annoy me, but it just kind of became a meme. But yeah, this guitar is a keeper for life. It is probably my most prized guitar in my whole collection. It means a lot to me, and I was like floored when I was given this as a wedding gift, and I still can't really believe it. So love this thing. It has the Seymour Duncan Pegasus and Sentient pickups, 3-way pickup selector, and a push-pull volume knob. Sounds awesome, plays awesome, as you'd expect from an Aristides guitar. Okay, moving on to the second to last 7-string that I currently have in my possession. This is a PRS Mark Holcomb 7-string. This is the new one from this year, so it has his new pickup set, which I believe is the Scarlet and Scourge from Seymour Duncan. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as the tried and true PRS Mark Holcomb that you've seen for years now. It just has a different finish, which in my opinion looks way nicer. I didn't really like the purpley red thing going on, so I really like this black finish a lot more. It's got like a slight touch of blue as well, looks really nice. Has a satin back of neck, which is an awesome feature because, as I was saying earlier, I much prefer that. No locking tuners. I kind of wish it did have those, but that's okay. This one again is a 26.5-inch scale 7-string, so pretty standard for a 7. This guitar is awesome. This was my first time ever working with PRS. Very thankful to them. It's really cool to get a company as big as them on this channel for the first time, and I hope that we get to work together again next year. Okay, moving on to the final 7-string guitar in my collection. This is one that you've probably seen on my channel for a very long time. I have almost sold this guitar so many times, but literally every time I put it up on Reverb or wherever, I end up deleting the posting within 10 minutes because I just can't bring myself to sell it. I have a weird thing with this guitar where I do really love it, but ESP and LTD have never worked with me and have expressed no interest in working with me, which is fine. But in my opinion, I'm like, well, it makes more sense to use guitars from other brands that actually support my channel, obviously. So I keep thinking like, well, I'll just sell this because I have nothing to do with this brand. But there's just something about this guitar that I just can't sell it. The finish is just way too sick. I've done so many modifications to it, including a new one this year by throwing in the Fishman Fluence Matte Heavy Signature bridge pickup, which sounds absolutely killer. I replaced all the controls, so it's only got one volume knob. I put on locking tuners on the back. These ones are hip shot. No, they're not hip shot. They're Graphtec ratio locking tuners. And then the thing I get asked about all the time is the pick guard. So this is actually covering the hole where the previous pickup is. So I've done a lot of work to this guitar, and every time I think about selling it, I just can't bring myself to do it. Also a 27-inch scale baritone guitar, and it's tuned to like drop F or something like that. I've used this for like every Spirit Box cover ever. It sounds awesome and it looks awesome. So damn it, LTD, you got me. You got me. And by the way, this is Stephen Carpenter from Deftones signature model, even though I definitely don't play Deftones on this thing. I love it. Okay, moving along to bass guitars. These are the same 3 basses that you've seen for a few years now. This was the first bass I got with my Dingwall endorsement. It is my favorite bass of the 3 still. It is, of course, a Dingwall NG2-5. So 5-string, 2 pickup, NG, which is Nolly Get Good from Periphery, but not from Periphery's signature model. This was like my dream bass guitar, so when I finally got this in 2019 or whatever, I was like floored, and to this day, this is my favorite bass to play. It pretty much lives in drop A, fluctuating a little bit between B standard to drop G, around that area, but this is my baby. I love this thing so much, and I love it so much that I bought it twice. This is the exact same bass, except without the swirl finish. This is just the solid green, and this one is tuned all the way down to drop E with a ridiculously thick 170 gauge string. Exact same bass, awesome. I love these things. These are my favorite basses of all time, as far as I'm concerned, at least out of anything I've ever played. I really like this thing, and like, I don't know, man, the green that Dingwall uses is just so sick, and I'm a sucker for green, as you may or may not have noticed by now. Okay, and the final bass is another Dingwall, but a very different one. This is a Dingwall D-Rock 4-string. I really like how this bass looks, plays, and feels, but I am not the hugest fan of how it sounds. I very much prefer the NG setup with the Dark Lash preamp. But yeah, just not having that preamp makes this bass sound way different, which I get is obviously the appeal, but I do kind of regret getting this one because I think I would have been happier with a 3rd NG, but I wanted to try something different. I was like, I don't want 3 of the exact same bass. Well, it turns out I kind of do, but if this had that preamp, I would love it so much more. But despite that, it is still a lot of fun to play, and I do think it looks absolutely beautiful with that ridiculous sparkle finish. Okay, nearing the end of the collection here, this is one that you've probably seen if you're keeping up to my channel. This is the newest guitar in my collection. I just did this in collaboration with Sweetwater. It is a Fender Player Series Stratocaster that I had modded with an Evertune bridge, and also custom Seymour Duncan Strat set that I won at Sweetwater back in July. And of course a 27-inch scale baritone neck. So pretty much not a traditional Strat at all. I really like this because when you plug it in, or at least when I plug it in and play it, it does not sound anything like how people probably think it's going to sound, and I think that's really fun. I had a lot of fun with this guitar, and for like the first month basically that I've had it, this is the one that I've grabbed the most because it's just so fun to play and so like opposite of what you would expect it to sound like. I just always have a good time playing this thing, and again, I think this one will be a keeper for sure. Okay, and the final baritone guitar in my collection is a Harley Benton Amarok 6-string. This is a really cool guitar. It's a 27-inch scale 6-string guitar with EMG, I believe they're called retroactive pickups. This is pretty much like the highest spec Harley Benton that you can get, and I think it still comes in at around $500 to $600 US, or at least it did back when I made the original video where I got it last year sometime. But yeah, this guitar I'm keeping around because I think it is awesome, especially for the price range and for somebody who's looking to get into baritone guitars. I think that this is probably the best one, at least if you're trying to do like metal baritone stuff. You can tune it really low. I have it all the way down to like drop E, like Humanity's Last Breath, stupid tuning. So the top 3 strings are just always dissonant all the time because metal. But yeah, this guitar is really sick, and it kind of helped to show me that Harley Benton is perfectly capable of making things that punch way above their price point. It has an awesome 3-piece neck, which is also a neck through design. I personally don't really have a preference between bolt-on versus neck through, but I know some people really like that. Stainless steel frets, really good fret access. Everything about this guitar just feels really premium, and it just feels a lot more expensive than it actually is. And I really like this guitar. Even if I don't use it quite as often, I think this one is fantastic. And if you're looking for a new baritone guitar, I think this is the best deal on the market right now. Okay, and now I'm gonna have an abrupt outfit change because we're gonna switch over to talking about 8 strings. But I just did a video on all of my 8 strings, so I'm just gonna cut to that instead. Here you go. So first and foremost, I'm gonna be talking about my Aristides Guitars 080S. This is one of the newest guitars in my collection and the newest 8-string guitar in my collection. This is a custom guitar built in the Netherlands by a company called Aristides. This is my 4th guitar from this brand. I'm a huge fan of them, and this guitar is absolutely amazing. So if you're unfamiliar with Aristides guitars, basically they are made out of one solid piece, as you can see on the back. It's not bolt-on, it's not neck through. This is literally just one gigantic chunk of a proprietary material called Arium. So no aspect of this guitar is made out of wood or any other traditional guitar material. So it's a very non-traditional guitar, and to take things even further, I chose to go with one single bridge pickup and a kill switch only, which you can barely see right there. So no volume, no tone, riff, or riffant. This pickup is a Lundgren M8 pickup. It sounds absolutely beautiful. That's a word now, I guess. Obviously, the most striking thing about this guitar is the ridiculous finish, which was made by Richard Fay Swirls. Go check out his Instagram page if you're unfamiliar, because he makes awesome swirl finishes. This one was done by him as well. This one has a hip shot, fan fret bridge, has my custom inlay on the 12th fret, which is just my AB logo in green with yellow, hip shot locking tuners up top. And for this one, I tried to go for like a combination of all of the things I normally like. So it's got yellow, green, black, and purple. Those are kind of the main colors that I seem to usually have on this channel, especially green. And yeah, it's just an awesome guitar. I haven't got to play it nearly as much as I want to because it is still kind of new to me. And then I was away for basically 2 months on tour and stuff like that. So I've only played this guitar for like maybe a couple hours so far, and I definitely need to change that very soon. Okay, next up is my other Aristides 8-string. This one is the 080R. So obviously the main difference between this one and the one that I just showed off is this one is a straight scale length. So it's 27 inches straight scale. And it also has this Evertune bridge and a Seymour Duncan Pegasus pickup. Once again, no volume, no tone, kill switch only. This time around, it's not a push button, it's just a flip like that. This time around, it also has another custom inlay, but this time it is my band Carcosa's inlay. And of course, it's bold and beautiful, bright neon yellow, because this is the guitar that I use live with my band Carcosa. So out of all of the 8-string guitars in my collection, this is the one that I probably play the most, and I've taken it all across North America twice now. I've played it for 30 days straight, 2 times across multiple different weather conditions and all that stuff. And the combination of this material, which again is that Arium proprietary material, along with this Evertune, make this thing pretty much never go out of tune. And it's absolutely awesome to go up on stage and not have to worry about retuning my guitar at all. In fact, I don't even bother to check my tuning a single time when I play live. The only time when I check my tuning is literally when I change strings. Other than that, I just assume it's always in tune, and so far it has been. Other than the Evertune and straight scale, same specs as the other Aristides, Arium body and neck like I said, rich light fretboard, hip shot locking tuners one more time. This one lives constantly in drop E tuning. Ooh, this one's dusty. I haven't used this one in a while, clearly. I meant to do that. That was on purpose. Oh, okay. Next up is my Solar Guitars A1.8C. This is literally the heaviest guitar I own, and I mean that literally. This thing weighs an absolute ton. This one also features the Evertune bridge. This was, I believe, the first 8-string I ever got with an Evertune bridge, and it's kind of what sold me on wanting that in my live guitars. This one also has a modification where I put a Seymour Duncan Pegasus pickup in the bridge. So as you can tell, this obviously used to be the main guitar for my band Carcosa before I got that Aristides, because it has the same pickup, same Evertune, 27-inch scale. So this was the guitar that got me used to all those specs in the first place, and then I ultimately decided to order that one, which is what I now use live. On one of the tours, I brought this as my backup guitar. On the last tour, I didn't bring it, so I haven't played this one in a little bit. I don't play it nearly as much as I used to, but it still sounds and plays absolutely awesome, although it is very physically heavy, so playing it live is a little bit uncomfortable, I must say. The neck pickup is still the stock pickup, which is a Duncan Solar something or the other, I can't remember. I'll put it on the screen. Ebony fretboard, I don't remember what the body wood is made out of here. It's probably mahogany or something like that, but again, I'll have the specs on the screen. Locking tuners up top, 5-way pickup selector, volume, tone. I don't use any of that stuff. I only use the bridge pickup because, again, it was for my band Carcosa. It sounds absolutely awesome still. Okay, next up is the second most expensive guitar in my entire collection. This is an Ernie Ball Music Man Majesty 8-string. I got this one on my first tour with my band Carcosa because Sweetwater actually sent it to me, which I still can't believe they did. I basically made a joke to Sweetwater being like, hey, my guitars need setups, and I think it would be funny to make a video where instead of getting my guitar set up, I just get 2 new guitars instead, just to like see what Sweetwater would say. And much to my surprise, they agreed. And not only did they agree, but they agreed to send me like basically the most expensive 8-string on their entire website. So obviously I'm keeping this one forever, and it sounds absolutely awesome. This one has this beautiful flame maple shield right here in this Okolani blue finish, I believe it was called. It's very hard to see as well, but these black parts actually do have a very, very slight blue sparkle to them. It doesn't really show up on camera, but it looks beautiful. These are the DiMarzio pickups, which are exclusive to this guitar. I think it's the Rainmaker and something else. I'll put it on the screen right now. This guitar is basically just packed with features. It's got a fan fret build, obviously, as well, which is 25.5-inch to 27-inch scale length. It has a 3-way pickup selector with a volume, a tone, and a second volume, which I believe controls the piezo system or piezo system, or however the fuck you say that word. We got a 12 decibel volume boost. We have a coil split, and we have the piezo controls up here. So this is off, blend, or full. And then flipping over to the back of the guitar, we have additional controls up here, which give like extra volume and EQ controls to the piezo system. I personally haven't used this because I don't really use the piezo system that much, but it's really cool that it has all these features. Obviously locking tuners with the iconic Music Man headstock right there, which looks beautiful. And yeah, this guitar is absolutely packed with features, a bunch of which honestly are things like way above my skill level that I probably don't use nearly as much as most other people would. But it's really cool that I have the features and I've used them here or there throughout a couple of videos. And this guitar just absolutely sounds awesome. It plays like a dream. The only thing I don't love about it is that it has a gloss neck. If you know me, you know that one of the things I don't like is gloss necks. Unfortunately, this guitar does have that, but with the style of music that I play, it doesn't really get in the way because I'm not like a super fast technical shredder. I just don't like the feel of gloss necks because I find that they get a little bit sticky if you sweat. Okay, next up is a guitar that is very, very special to me. This was the first ever full custom guitar that I got. It's made by a company called Fast Guitars, who unfortunately no longer build, but they were local to me here in British Columbia, Canada. Got to know Kevin Fast, the owner of the company, really well. He was a great guy. I worked with him and this company and his other company for many years. Great guy, makes awesome products. And this one is the Roamer, which is basically a Jazzmaster shape. At the time when I made this guitar, I feel like I don't think I had ever seen an 8-string Jazzmaster before. If I did, I had maybe seen like one in my life. And to this day, this shape in an 8-string is still extremely rare. So this guitar is very special to me. Like I said, it's the first full custom guitar I got, and I still love playing it, even if I play it a little bit less than I used to. I have so many videos on my channel playing this thing because I've had it for so long. It might actually be the oldest guitar that is still in my collection, or one of the oldest ones. So yeah, it has this beautiful avocado burst on the top with spalted flamed maple, bare knuckle cold sweat pickups, the single hip shot, I believe, bridge pieces, volume, tone through a pickup selector. This is before I decided I don't like tone knobs, and I would have only had the volume if I built it again right now. Ebony fretboard with the obnoxiously giant perloid slanted inlays, which look beautiful. White binding across the whole body of the guitar. Swamp ash body. The other thing that I don't love about this guitar that I wish I didn't do, and if I built it again I would change, is you might notice that there is actually no string ferrules on the back, and that's because this guitar, the strings are actually top loaded through the saddles, which is fine and it does the job, but I prefer a string through the body design, which I didn't really think of at the time I was getting this built, but I digress. Stainless steel frets on the neck, of course, and then locking hipshot tuners up top. As you may or may not notice, I love locking tuners, and hipshots are some of my favorites. Yeah, this guitar is an absolute beast. I've used it for many, many videos, and it still plays, looks, feels, and sounds great. Okay, up next is another guitar that's been in my collection for a very long time, and if you've followed my channel for a while, you've probably seen it before. This is my Ibanez RG852. It is obviously made as a tribute to one of my favorite guitarists of all time, Justin Lowe from After the Burial. Rest in peace, of course. So yeah, this was just a standard Galaxy Black Ibanez RG852 that I found on Reverb for like a stupidly good price, like $800, because the finish on it was all fucked up. So I bought it because I knew that I was going to have it refinished and I didn't care about any finish flaws. So I had it sent off and refinished in basically the closest thing I could find to that LNG lime neon green, I think is what that stands for, from Ibanez paint color right here, because that's what Justin Lowe had on his 8-string, of course. And then the Seymour Duncan blackout pickups right there. I chose to go for the 852 rather than the 2228, which I think is what Justin used, because I much prefer this style of bridge over the 2228 style bridge, which you'll see on the next guitar, I think. But yeah, so tons of modifications to this. Like I said, the finish, the pickups. I also had the tone knob swapped for a kill switch. So this is when you can see I was starting to get the idea of using a kill switch instead of a volume knob, but I didn't quite have the balls to go full and commit to it at the time. So I still have a volume knob, and then the tone knob is replaced with just a momentary kill switch. Three-way pickup selector, the Godot locking tuners, which are standard to this guitar, and everything else is the same as the guitar came. This guitar plays, feels, looks, and sounds absolutely awesome, which I know is what I've said about pretty much all these, but if they stayed in my collection this long, it's for a good reason. Okay, up next is one of my other newest 8-string guitars. This is the Ibanez RGD MS8. So it's the first time they've ever done the RGD style body as an 8-string. And of course it's multi-scale as well. So again, I believe this is 25.5 to 27-inch scale, which is pretty much standard for any 8-string multi-scale. That's the most common configuration of that. This one has Fishman Fluence modern pickups in the bridge and neck. It has a 3-way pickup selector, a coil split down there as well, and then a single volume knob, which is really cool. Those staggered single bridge pieces right there. Godot locking tuners. I don't remember the specs in terms of the woods, but I'll put those on screen right now. This guitar has been an absolute joy to play. This is the one that I just brought on the last tour with me as my B guitar, and I actually ended up playing it a lot because the output jack on my Aristides broke about 5 shows in, and I wasn't able to find a tech to replace that piece for quite a while. Shout out to Matthew Alias, by the way, from my Discord for helping me fix that. But yeah, I brought this on the road without necessarily intending to use it as much as I did, and I ended up using this for like half the tour, and I really liked it. I loved how it sounded, loved how it played, super easy to play. I definitely missed having the Evertune on the stage, because like I said, I'm very used to not tuning my guitar at all. So it took a little bit of, you know, getting used to having to tune a guitar between songs again, because I just haven't done that in so long. But yeah, this guitar is new, but it's absolutely awesome. It's definitely one of my favorite Ibanez 8-strings I've ever played. Definitely my favorite Ibanez 8-string that I've seen them come out with in a very long time, other than this next one, which I'm about to show you. Okay, next up is the biggest 8-string guitar that I have. This is the Ibanez FTM33. Like I was just saying with the last one, this was my previous favorite 8-string that Ibanez had released in a very, very long time. I waited a really long time to buy this one because here in Canada, these are like $3,000 for some reason. I don't know why they're so expensive, because they're made in Indonesia. In my opinion, that's like way too high. So I stuck it out and waited a very, very long time until I finally found one come up for sale used, and that's when I decided to buy it. But this guitar is something that I wanted for a really long time, so I was very excited when I finally got it. I will be honest, I don't play it nearly as much as I thought I was going to, but pretty much anytime I make any type of Meshuggah video, this is the Meshuggah guitar. So if you're not familiar, FTM33 is Frederick Thorndal from Meshuggah's guitar. 33 is like the number he uses on all his products, like Caps 33 and the Fortin 33 pedal and all that. This guitar is ridiculously large. Swamp Ash body, Lundgren M8 pickups, Pau Ferro or Rosewood fretboard, I don't remember, I'll put it on the screen. This one does not have locking tuners, unfortunately, but it does have that annoying bridge which I was mentioning during the RG852 segment. So I am personally not a fan of this bridge and nut setup. It's basically all the annoyances of like a Floyd Rose guitar without being a Floyd Rose. So in my opinion, it's very inconvenient. There's lots of moving parts, lots of things that can go missing or break or whatever. So I'm not a fan of this bridge setup, but it's what Meshuggah uses, so it's on this guitar. It's not that bad once you get it set up and working, obviously, but nonetheless, I would have much preferred if this was just like a string through the body, easy hardtail bridge, because it's just much more efficient. But that's enough complaining. This one has a 3-way pickup selector and 3 knobs, which I believe are 2 volume knobs and 1 tone, which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. No coil splittering or anything like that because Meshuggah doesn't really do that. This guitar is a beast. It sounds awesome. Okay, moving on to the second last 8-string in my collection. There might be some more bonus ones, but we'll talk about that in a sec. This is from Shecter Guitars, and this is the John Brown signature model Tau 8-string. These guitars are super popular. I'm very, very happy for John Brown. They've been sold out basically since they came out, and I think I'm one of the only YouTubers to have one, so I'm very, very lucky to own this. Again, big thank you to Adam over at Shecter for sending this one over to me. This guitar is by far my favorite 8-string I've ever had from Shecter. I think I've had 3 or 4 of them from them, and this one is like way better. I love this guitar. So this one has a hipshot bridge, hipshot locking tuners, and then it has Schecter's own pickups, which were designed in collaboration with John Brown, which I believe are called the Chaos Breaker, I think, but I'll put it on the screen just in case. Single volume knob, which I love. It's also pullable as a coil split, and then a 3-way pickup selector down there. Nice and simple. Has this beautiful purple finish up top with like a flame maple thing going on. Swamp Ash body on the back, which looks absolutely beautiful as well. 5-piece neck right there. And of course, an ebony fretboard with stainless steel frets and no inlays, which looks just so clean, so nice. This thing also sounds awesome. I, again, have not used this nearly as much as I would like to, but that's going to change because I'm definitely keeping this one in my collection for a very long time, if not forever. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I know that these videos are a little on the long side, so I appreciate it if you made it this far. Again, a big thank you to the sponsor of this video. If you're looking for a gift for yourself or a loved one this holiday season, it's a pretty good option. I don't know what else to say about it. The link to that is in the description below. And of course, last but not least, a massive thank you to all my Patreon members. Thank you so much for your support over the past year. If you are interested in getting audio downloads, guitar tabs, stems, or a shout out on the screen like these lovely people here, you can find a link to my Patreon page also in the description below. That's all I have to say. I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you next time.